Hello and welcome to the Lucky Ones podcast. I am your host, Lucky Wood, and tonight I am joined by a promoter that needs no introduction if you are in arm wrestling. I'm going to give him one anyway because he is doing some incredible things along with his partner, and we are just so awesome, so blessed to have William or Will Blazeski.
Blazeski, very close.
Blazeski.
Good
Oh,
job.
I was so close. Blazeski. and joining us here tonight. What's up, Casto?
Hey,
Hey. So I am very just super excited because in just 2 weeks I will get to see him face to face in the amazing Fort Lee, New Jersey, for his awesome event Knuckles Up 5, which we'll be talking about here shortly. But Will, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into the great sport of arm wrestling?
Oh man, you're trying to unpack a story here.
I am.
No, well, first of all, just thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited and pumped. And as we have said many times before, uh, we have many goals here at the High Five and Knuckles Up. One being obviously arm wrestling for the people, by the people, but also to not forget about the ladies because without them, our sport would be a lot more boring. But how did I get into arm wrestling? So I've always been interested in strength sports and competing. I'm a very competitive person. I also have a very long, extensive background in performing. I was a musician for many years, and it kind of all culminated into arm wrestling. I love the performance aspect of it, getting out on the stage and all that type of stuff. But I was really into powerlifting, strongman, and I did a little bit of arm wrestling when I was younger. I watched Pulling John. I used to have it saved on my desktop. For anyone who remembers, I ripped it off of LimeWire.
Yes.
No, or was it? No, I'm sorry, it wasn't LimeWire. It was Pirate Bay.
oh,
Pirate
Okay.
Bay.
Pirate
Yeah,
Bay.
Pirate Bay. I ripped it off of Pirate Bay, and I used to watch it all the time. So when I was in high school, we had a decathlon where like the classes would face against each other in like fun sports like pie eating and volleyball and bowling and all this stuff. And arm wrestling was one of them. So as a freshman, I was like, "Oh, I love arm wrestling. This is awesome. I got to do this." Never had been on like any type of table or anything. And of course I lost, but then like I trained that year for the next year. And being the tuba player in the marching band, I beat the captain of the football team the next year. So then I was hooked for like the next few years. Didn't do it for almost 10 years after college. And then one of our former teammates came up to me in the gym and was like, "Hey, have you ever been interested in arm wrestling?" And I was like, "Arm wrestling? Like people do that? Like still? Like it's a thing?" And so yeah, I joined the High Five and kind of became history. Then I came part of the company and we started promoting and doing our events and now we're here. But yeah, it's been a absolutely wild ride. Uh, I think we lost Lucky.
I think we lost Lucky. She'll be back.
Well, Christine, how are you? How are you doing?
Go right ahead. She'll be back.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the basis of our story is just, or at least my story is, I was very oh, there we go, she's back.
So
Um,
sorry.
it's okay. But yeah, so we're really invested in creating a greater opportunity for arm wrestlers, around the globe, and I'm sure we'll get into things like the Arnold Classic and other stuff we have going on. But long story short, I love arm wrestling. I'm really into strength sports, and I have no fear of stage fright, and it's one of the most fun times ever for me is getting in front of a crowd and stuff like that. So
It's funny that you mentioned that. High school, uh, we have a thing at our local high school. It's called the Spring Carnival, and every
okay.
year they had arm wrestling in it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
got older and started promoting. I was the one that went to the high school and promoted it, and it was funny because I was also the lunch lady at the high school. And when all the football players would see me walk in with the arm wrestling table, they'd be like, "Oh no, that isn't." Oh yes, that is. But
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh man.
Can, Lucky, we still got you. Maybe she can't hear us. I think
no,
that's
I don't
Might be what
know.
it is. Um, That's awesome. The one thing we are trying to do while Lucky is getting situated, you had mentioned obviously having arm wrestling, and I did too in my high school and stuff like that, is we are soon going to be opening our world headquarters in about 2 weeks. We'll be there. So our goal is to start educating more, teaching younger kids, and getting more of the youth involved because I wish if I had started arm wrestling as young as the kids from Kazakhstan, I'd probably be world champion right now. Um,
Right.
so that's definitely one of my goals too, is to be able to start them younger for sure.
Can y'all hear me now? I moved,
Yeah.
Yes.
so I'm closer to the router, so my little thing went up. So hopefully it'll be okay now. Well, that's awesome. So throughout, obviously, you've been a part of it at a lot of different levels. What has changed about like kind of your favorite thing about it? Like what started as your favorite thing, what's your favorite thing about the sport now?
So, for me, when I first started, and it's wild because it's since I like came back to the sport since I was a little kid, it's only been about 2.5 years, just under three. So we had a wild ride to say the least. My about I want to say 2 years ago now, because I was about 6 months in when I did my first tournament. I did Keystone in Pennsylvania, and did the amateur class, and I won a medal on my left arm, just missed placing on my right. And I think my favorite thing about it then was the competition, right? Because I didn't know much about the community. I didn't know much about the production side of things and how big arm wrestling is on a global scale. But
Sure.
the competition aspect, I was lit up. I mean, I'll send you guys some videos from my first competition where I'm like shaking the
Oh,
table
I
and
love it. I love it.
like totally like wild into it. But now after having held multiple tournaments and now we're on our fifth pay-per-view, hands down 100% my favorite part about arm wrestling is the community aspect of it because I've been thankfully very blessed to say that I've been part of, I would say, three major strength communities before arm wrestling. So, having been a very high level competitive power lifter, I was part of that community, and they're all great. They're fantastic people, and then also having done strongman, I used to be coached by his name was Derek Poundstone, the second strongest man alive in 2007. So I got part of that community. They're very similar. And then bodybuilding. One of my very close friends was the 212 Mr. Olympia champion. His name is Sean Clarita. So I've been able to get involved in these communities and like what's great about them is that they all have the same desire to just improve themselves. But the one thing I think that separates arm wrestling community wise from the rest of them is when I go to a powerlifting meet, I'm competing against everybody in the room, right? But we're all cheering for each other, right? But I'm not like physically competing against each other. So the fact that I can grip up with somebody, they can destroy me or I can destroy them, like, and touching each other, right? Which sounds so funny, but like, you know what I mean? Like
Right,
you're
right,
gripping,
right,
yeah, in a nice way. Um,
right.
um,
Aggressive hand holding.
yes, aggressive
Yeah.
handholding. When I can physically like connect with another human being, and whether they destroy me or I destroy them, or we have this awesome battle, you walk off the table, and in that same exact moment, they're like, "Oh, well, I did this. No, I did that. Oh, you actually need to focus on your fingers here. Oh man, if you were just a little bit faster, you would have had me." Which is, I used to get that in the other communities, but here it's just like we're such nerds. I love it. I absolutely love how much of we are nerding out about like, well, I hit this on the pronation lift, and someone will walk by like, what the heck are you talking about? So yeah, so for me, it started with like I love the competition aspect, but now I love how nerdy the community is and how it's so niche yet like it's growing so fast, and everyone that's
Right,
coming into it, it's like we're converting you, like
right.
yeah,
Well, it's so funny because I can feel like as women, like one of the things, and sorry, ladies, do not be offended. One of the things that I talk to so many women about is just like, um, have you ever met me? I'm so awkward around other girls, or I don't have a lot of other girl friends, or I don't fit in with other female. But then you get around each other as females, and we're like, oh my gosh, you're like the sister I never had. and that's what I've come to love is the fact that, like, in other communities, I'm, too much and I'm loud and I'm this and I'm that. But then I get into arm wrestling and, there's 3 dozen girls who are louder than me, who are way more in your face, who are, who like, are so more aggressive. And it's just kind of like, I'm not used to being not as aggressive when it comes to being around other females. And so
Yeah.
it's so funny because I feel like I'm just like, so one girl's just like, I'm just awkward. I don't know if I want to come to this event. I was like, have you met other female arm wrestlers? We are all awkward. Like, it's okay. We
I
will
think
embrace you.
one of my favorite things too is because obviously a lot of the times, a lot of the women then get involved in the sport is usually because of their significant other, and then they're like, "Oh, this is cool, I'll do it too." But every once in a while, you meet those ladies that they just were interested in the sport, and those are the ones that are like definitely my favorite because they're like, "No, it's not because my boyfriend and my husband brought me here. No, like I'm just into this shit. This is awesome." Like
Yeah,
that's one of the coolest things for me too. Is like I'll meet so many of them at these tournaments, and they're like. Oh, I'm like, oh yeah, is your blah 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 here? I'm like, no, she's like, oh, I'm here by myself. I'm like, hell yeah, like that's freaking awesome. That's so cool.
definitely. Definitely. Well, very cool. So, I did want to shout out, Will and Chris have the High Five podcast that they do over on the High Five channel. And they're one of my favorite podcasts to listen to because one, they talk about arm wrestling, but they also give amazing advice when it comes to technique and exercises and things that their team is starting to do to kind of not mimic, but also kind of I don't want to use the word imitate, but just acknowledge that other teams are doing these and they're being successful. So they wanted to start adopting. That's a good one, adopting it into their regimen. So definitely go over and check out some of their podcasts, some of their discussions that they've had about things that they're doing as far as exercises, as part of their trainings and things like that. It's just a wealth of knowledge over there. So make sure you subscribe and check some of those out. But if you want to give us kind of a little synopsis about like kind of what your workout routine or exercise routine as far as on the table, off the table, especially for some of us ladies who are just kind of like, well, I don't have somebody to practice with, so what can I do at home or what can I be doing at
Yeah, definitely. So,
As a general basis, and I think this is for general fitness overall. If we have the time to be getting to the gym, hopefully 3 days a week, I think would be the minimum. Because a lot of us live sedentary lives. We're sitting down all the time. A lot of our jobs aren't as physically demanding. So first and foremost is like try to eat healthy and get to the gym 3 times a week. Now, in terms of my routine and what I'm doing, I keep it very simple. I have, an upper body push day. I have an upper body pull day. I do have a leg day. I think that is very important, even though most arm wrestlers don't do legs, which is I'm tisk tisk to all of you. Also, who
I
doesn't want to?
agree. I
Who doesn't?
agree.
Hey, my fiance, I want my legs. I want my booty to look good. I want to look good on the table. Okay.
There you go.
But not just that. It's your base, right?
Right.
That's why I do think even if you're not trying to grow your legs like crazy, just having a form of strength in them is very important for arm wrestling. But to get nitty gritty into your question, if you have the time, we should definitely be doing a dedicated arm day, which meaning and I'm talking just focusing on your biceps and our triceps, because they're both very important in arm wrestling. And then a secondary arm day, which would be for things like grip, pronation, cupping, rise, that type of thing. If you can get those 2 days in, obviously they'll be the most bang for your buck in terms of translating to the arm wrestling table. And then if we had to have one other extremely important day, it would be your back day. Don't forget, we do call it pulling. So being able to pull someone over to your side of the table is extremely important. If you guys are ever interested, I do have a program that I don't even sell. I can send it out to a lot of people. It's a basic one that I wrote for my first ever Arnold Classic competition that I competed in. And it's just something I like to give to beginners that it'll kind of get you rocking and rolling. It's a bit intensive. It's an Excel sheet, but yeah, I mean it's a hard question to answer, right? Because everyone has a different amount of time that they have to put into the gym. But if we can just focus on the basics, Like make sure you're doing curls, make sure you're doing forearm curls, make sure you're doing some form of a tricep extension to keep the elbows healthy, and definitely some type of a chest press to work on your side pressure, and some type of a row. Like if you just did those, what was that, 5 exercises every time you went to the gym, you'll become a better arm wrestler. And then in terms of arm wrestling specific training on the table, I am actually not a fan. This is going to sound, Chris and I differ a little bit in this. I am not a big fan of pulling on the table with people, unless, let me rephrase, a lot of times practice becomes competition.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And right. And then people will come and I can only speak for myself, like being a larger individual, they'll come to our practice and they want to pull that guy. And it becomes this like egotistical competition. I've almost kicked people out of our club before, not on our team, but that came to visit because I was like, hey, we don't do that shit here. Like you can
Right.
either leave or you can practice, right? So I'm a big proponent of when we're on the table, we're actually doing a lot of band assisted or we'll take a karate belt to add tension. And we actually get a lot more out of like the stronger people pulling the weaker people. And I mean like big disparities versus like Chris and I pulling together. We can because we will let off and allow a person to work through things. But a lot of the times we see, people coming to practice and it becomes how exhausted can I get on the table? If you look at the
Yeah.
best athletes in the world in any sport, they're focusing on their form and their technique first, right? And then after they've done their sets and their reps and all that type of stuff, then maybe they'll work towards exhaustion. So, for anybody going to a practice or you're by yourself, really just get on a table if you have one and mimic arm wrestling. Set up a cable and do some pronation exercises to the pin pad. Excuse me. Set up some supination exercises to the pin pad. Um, Set up some starts and ready goes where you're just cupping and dragging. Like all those types of things, I think are much more valuable if you want to be a very high level competitor than just getting on the table and slamming away. I
Right.
know I very long-winded answer, but
No, that's
you
perfect.
can what do they say? Like you can bake a cake a million different ways, but
Right.
yeah.
It's a very good answer. Very
No,
good
it's a
answer.
great answer. And I think
I
I
have a
think
great team.
for it's great for guys to hear that because I feel like with the ladies because so many of us ladies don't have women that we practice with. We
Hmm.
have to practice with the guys, and when it becomes that ego of like, oh, I'm not gonna let her beat me. I'm not, it's just like it's not about beating you, buddy. It's about
Stories.
letting me work through and figuring out and working on my technique. And
Yeah.
so for me. I know that a lot of women on the show and myself are we're so picky about who we pull with because I'm not trying to get hurt at practice.
Yeah.
If I'm going to get hurt, it's going to be on a
Yeah.
stage for
And
a medal.
the funny thing is
Even myself, like I have to do the exact same thing. I have actually injured myself more in practice than I have in the competition table
Mm-hmm.
because it was like, for example, I was revving up, getting ready to go for my first super match with Leroy and Marcio Barbosa, who we all know, like incredible, like brick wall. Go ahead and just do whatever you want, hit my arm, and I'm like, and me and my like, I ended up tearing my shoulder. I'm like, oh, that's that, you know what I mean? I'm still dealing with that now.
Right.
But the stories I could tell you exactly what you're saying. Like for example, we have shout out to Alina if you ever listen to this. She still is a member of our team. She just had to take a bit of a hiatus because she had some personal things she had to deal with her family and stuff, and she hasn't been able to even come to the gym to train. But she would get so frustrated because so many of the guys on their team would like not be fair or like trying to gain advantage because Alina is also like really strong. Like Alina is one of those girls that, and I genuinely say this because background, Alina is a Olympic level hammer thrower. She missed qualifying for the Olympics by like a foot in her throw, like the last time around, like wild strong. She's 6 foot. She's like when
Was
I
she
saw,
was she at Arnold's one year?
yes, she
That's
was
what I thought.
she was at the last Arnold's that happened.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, yeah. Alina's absolutely awesome. She made it to her first Arnold's. The first year she ever
Oh,
started practicing, she made it to her first Arnold's. But anyway, she would get so frustrated because she'd be like, "Well, I'm trying," and then she'd come pull with me. And then the worst part about that is like, well, my hand is 5 times the size of her hand, so she should be
right.
pulling with the guys that are in the 154s and 176 on our team, but they're, excuse my language, they're being dicks. So it's like I have to intervene and then say, "Hey guys, like she's trying to get work in," and yeah, so that's why control what you can control. There are so many, and I know they're a little bit expensive, but there are so many handles and things that we can recreate the feeling of gripping up with somebody using a cable machine or a lever arm or whatever it may be. Yes, it's an investment, but there's nothing better than like getting that good feeling and workout and not having to deal with somebody else and developing
Sure.
those muscles. And then, all right, now it's time, maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks or however you go to practice. Now you're like, look, I got my working to it. Now it's let's put it on a table with someone responsible and see how I've improved.
Yeah.
Sure.
My team with and the one that points it out really well is Todd Hutchins. He will tell the men, especially if they have a really big hand, that when you come up and you are practicing with a female, you need to take like your pinky away or your pinky and your ring finger away and only use these, your thumb and these two. And that helps them not have such a big hand to have to go through, myself or another female that comes to practice. And that's a good thing. And Todd always looks for that. If there's a new female or something, don't, he'll tell them she's just a female. Don't kill her. you know, he's not being mean. He's just saying, you're a male. You're not going to have to kill her. I'm not Sarah Bachman, so by any means.
Yeah, I mean
It's so sad though that the stigma that has now been put on the guys by the girls, and I say this they in the sense that they had every right to. When I met Sarah Backman, as you just mentioned, she came to our last event, and when I say like my injury really sucks because it's one of those things that's like once I lose any pronation, it just activates and it's just like a 9 out of 10 pain. But she's like, "Hey, can we pull a little?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna say no to pulling with Sarah Backman."
Right.
So we get on the table, we strap up, and I'm just controlling with my hand, but like I'm like it's Sarah Backman, like I can't like I have to like actually give something because she's ridiculously strong. So she goes,
Right.
"Can I hit?" And I'm like, yeah, don't hurt me. So she
Don't
starts wailing, and I'm barely holding on, and like I'm just like
Mhm.
trying to like, okay, like you're not gonna pin. I'm like, all right, and all right, I'm like, go through my fingers, go through my fingers, and then she goes, "You're such a nice person," and I'm like, what's that supposed to be? Because everybody else is so mean on the table, and I'm well, what do you want me to do? Like, just full blown smash into you? Like I'm 200 pounds heavier than you. What's the point? And I'm just like, yeah, it really is funny. The whole like, I can't be beat by a girl. I'm like, yeah, but if you beat the girl, then you just look like an idiot. Like, just get the work in. And there's a lot in learning how to help someone get to the pad too. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's true. My whole team are a lot bigger than I am, and they're awesome. They help me out so much with that, which I
Yeah.
need to get back to because I've been gone a while.
Yeah. Stop slacking off, Casto. Because we got a left hand super match I gotta call you out for.
Yeah, right.
I love it.
Um,
You know how
I'm
he
just
was
saying.
talking about that shoulder thing? Well, that's mine on my left. That's where I get. It gets right to that and it goes. It's like,
Wham wham.
Hey, shoulder pain
Pain is no joke. I'm actually at the point where I'm most likely going to get the surgery because what it is essentially where my bicep attaches is right on the labrum of my shoulder. So the labrum is torn, not the bicep. But every time
Okay.
I activate my bicep, it pulls on the tear, and I'm like, you know what I mean? So what they'll do is they'll cut it off and they'll screw it back into the humerus so that it's no longer pulling on the shoulder.
Oh,
It's
that'll be
more,
nice.
it's less of the do I want to get surgery? It's more of a I just don't want my arm in a sling for, 6 to 8 weeks. And then
I was gonna
like,
ask you what the recovery for that was gonna
yeah,
be like.
it's like 6 or 8 weeks. I had this shoulder scoped out like I want to say 6 years ago, which was one of the best decisions I ever made. It was great. And I went, instead of it being an 8 week recovery, I was back in the gym in like 4 weeks. And then by 6 weeks, I was like
Oh,
pretty normal.
sure.
Because I was like super proactive. But yeah, I'm just the things we do for arm wrestling. Like
Right?
anybody else would be like my fiance all the time is like, babe, I hear you moaning and groaning in the night because your shoulders hurt. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, don't
No.
leave me alone.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, I cut out all carbs and sugar and everything I love to eat for arm wrestling.
There you go. Hey,
It's just we just the sacrifices,
the sacrifices, the pizza not eaten. I mean, come
right?
on.
The ice cream not bought.
Oh, so tough. And the worst part is um we introduced a weight class for the Arnold Classic of the 275 pound class. And I know I could get to that, with the way the sport is growing and now with the introduction of these strongmen and stuff like that, the leverages that are coming out and the hand sizes, like I would need to cut down to the 242 or 251 depending on where you're competing class just to be like even more competitive. And I'm like, I don't think I can drop another 90 pounds.
Sure, sure. Well, and
Oh,
that's what's, I mean, and I say this, and people gave me such a hard time because when I pointed that out before, I had dropped, I was at the 81 mark or whatever, and I had dropped down, and I was like, and I'm still not in another weight class for women. Like,
Yeah.
they have like a 198 or a 176, for me, starting at 2 pounds and then going all the way down, I dropped 91 pounds and was still over 154. And I still was not in the low weight class for the women. And I'm just like, and they're like, well, guys do it too. I was like, guys have to be over 300 pounds for them to have to drop 90 pounds to be in a lower weight class.
Yeah, yeah.
Every other, and then once they reach there, they have 20-pound increment.
Well, and
Yeah.
the
only thing I'll say, and this isn't a nudge, I guess it's just we just need the pool of women to be larger
Mhm.
so we can
Yeah,
justify it. Because
yeah,
especially as a promoter, like trust me, I get it. I would love to have 5 women's weight classes and have 20 competitors in each. That would be like a dream,
sure,
but you guys know sometimes it's hard to get 4 women at a tournament. And we're like,
100%.
I'm like, we got to get more ladies in this sport. Hello,
Yeah,
Yes.
you
yes,
know?
no, no, you are not
Speaking of
wrong.
that, so what does the Arnold's look like right now, as of
We're
now,
talking about
for
Knuckles
the
Up first,
ladies?
and we're going to talk about the Arnold. So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, hey, how all right. So we are talking about Knuckles Up, and we do have 3 women's super matches, so it's the most we've ever
yes,
had on a card, and we're really, really excited about them. Um, Obviously, we have Merlene versus Yoshiko, which is going to be a crazy match.
that's going to
We
be
have,
awesome.
yeah, it's going to be absolutely crazy. We have Nadia Walczynski versus Tati Faria.
Yeah,
So she's coming from Brazil. Nadia, originally Ukrainian, but now living in the United States. And then, of
Yes.
course, our co-headlining match, which is Gabby versus Heidi Cordner from Canada.
so we have two
So,
Brazil ladies that are
yes.
Yes.
representing. That's
Yes,
awesome.
yes. Two ladies from Brazil. They're actually flying over together on the same flight.
Oh,
Um,
that's fun.
yeah, and Gabby's husband Vitor. So we're super excited about that. But yeah, we're so pumped. I think there are 3 really good matches, and they're great matchups. Um, I'll actually work my way from the top down. So obviously Gabby coming off of a loss against
Mhm.
Barbara, right? Which was
Right.
I was there live. It was a great match. I still think Gabby could have won. I don't want to say Gabby made any mistakes. I just think Barbara made the right adjustments and then was able
Right.
to take that
Correct.
win. But so now Gabby, now being second best in the world, but having now a 2-time losing streak, we want to see if she can get back on a winning streak. And Heidi is incredible. She's the queen of Canada. And she is really looking to, can she compete at that level? And I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be an exciting match. I know outside of the strap, I do think Heidi has the advantage. I think her leverage and hand control is incredible. And then inside the strap, I mean, Gabby is, a top fuel dragster.
Heidi, do not strap yourself to Gabby. It's just
Yeah.
my two
Exactly.
cents.
Yeah, that
You do
one's
not tie yourself to a bull. Do not tie yourself to Gabby.
yeah, and it's going to be really interesting because I don't want to say that our referees are more strict, but I will say our referees definitely are very focused on creating like the most fair setup. I know we see a lot of times at East versus West and King of the Table, there's a lot of like load and then they go
Right.
with men, women, everybody. And
Sure.
that's something that we are like super against because like it just like if you, for example, you watch like any of Devin's matches, he's like going 5 seconds before they even say go. So we don't want stuff like that. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. The one that I am the most curveball for me would be Merlene and Yoshiko,
Mhm.
because Yoshiko has been on a hiatus for quite a while now, and Merlene is coming off of some losing streaks as well. So I think it's going to be a good match. I know when we talked to Merlene, she's also nervous just because there's not much footage of her opponent online. So that should
Right.
be very interesting. But she's previous world champion. It's going to be good. And then, I mean, I'm excited for all of them, but just because Nadia practices with us many
Yes.
times, I am so excited for Nadia's match because Nadia and Tati are like both super high energetic pullers. If you watch Nadia's match at Knuckles Up 3 against Danielle Evanson, she was just fired up. So I think that one's going to be really cool. And people always sleep on Nadia. There's some drama in the arm wrestling ladies world, which I never ever take part of. Neither does Chris. We just kind of just like, okay, this is happening. We're gonna step back over here.
Sure.
But Nadia, people forget she's now a. Oh no, we lost Lucky. I'll keep it going, everybody. We lost Nadia. I'm sorry. Nadia, people forget that she is a two-time WAL hammer holder, which is absolutely awesome. Um, and she is now a Knuckles Up champion as well. So I think she's gonna pull off some absolutely incredible things in that super match.
Had to switch over to the phone or the computer died.
No worries. We got you. We're back. I kept it going. I don't even know if I was live, but I was talking anyway. Don't worry.
Yeah, hang on. Let me see if it is still. It's saying it's being sent.
Okay,
So
awesome. No
I'm gonna
worries.
assume that we're still live. Hang on. What's it? Chris, Mike, can one of you come and put the pin in, please? The computer died. So anyway,
No
so
worries.
sleeping on Nadia. It was the last thing I heard.
Yeah, so basically I was just explaining that people sleep on Nada because she is a two-time WL hammer holder. She's
Right.
now a Knuckles Up champion, and I will say this.
1718.
Okay.
I think if Nadia had the chance to train really hard for it, I even think she would be a good matchup for Sarah Backman.
Let's go.
That's how good I think Nadia Walczynski is. Because Nadia is lightning fast,
Thumbs up.
wicked on the inside. Now, I think overall horsepower, obviously Sarah Backman is probably stronger. I wouldn't doubt that. But Nadia is wicked. So Tati's gonna have a match on her hands. But yeah, I'm excited. The whole card is gonna be just nuts. It's gonna be crazy.
Definitely, definitely. I'm definitely it's gonna be really fun to watch. I am super excited to be there. I've never been to a Knuckles Up, and so just to see it in person, for me, it's like this is gonna be like the highlight of 2025 for me.
Oh, we're kicking off the year right. Everybody else is slacking. Let's go. Right.
Right.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good.
Definitely, definitely. And so I've really, we had Nadia on the show. I tease her a little bit when we talk about her because she was a guest on my show and she holds the record for the longest podcast that we had. And so I tell everybody, if y'all make it through Nadia's podcast, you get a cookie. Just let me know.
How long was the podcast?
3 hours and 6 minutes.
Oh, yeah, Nadia. Okay.
Yes. And just I definitely feel like when you talk to her, kind of face to face, like I haven't met her in person, but just talking to her this way, it's a lot different than what you see online. So some of the stuff
Oh, yeah.
you see online,
100%.
I feel like, and we try to cut her some slack too because there's that language and she's just very direct and there's that language barrier and things like that. And so, but like, um, 'I'd say 90% of what she said on the podcast was just like solid, great advice, everything she said, just as somebody who likes to be, like you said, kind of stay out of stuff. That 10%, y'all, that's her opinion. We do not endorse.
Well, it's you know what
I think the thing and that's what I find refreshing about Nadia. And this is not, I'm not picking side because we all know what we're talking about. There's drama, right? I think the thing I appreciate the most is that like absurdly dry, blunt honesty. It's not just her culture, like you said, it's her language, and it's just kind of the person she is. She's just like she tells it like it is, and a lot of people can't handle that, right? But look, at the end of the day, putting all the drama aside,
Yep.
many people, or ladies, I should say,
Sure.
have been trying to duck Nadia for a while. And I think there's a reason why, because she's really good. Like
Right.
Nadia is a incredible arm wrestler. I can't remember her age off the top of my head. I believe she's in her late 30s, early 40s. Um, but she's incredible. She's so good. She's so knowledgeable on the table too. She's not just like a powerhouse who just came out of nowhere and is like just, out strengthening people. She's really, really knowledgeable. And she if you ever have the time to be with her in the gym, ask her to show you some of like the tricks she does, like with lifting
Mhm.
weights and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
she's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So yeah, so I think yeah, the three women's matches, of course I have, my three picks for each of the matches, but I'm also like, oh, I want this person to win, but I'd be totally okay if this other
yeah.
lady wins, so I'm rooting for all six. I just want, you want almost three ties down the road.
Sure.
Everybody's a winner.
Sure.
But with ladies matches, there's a lot of opinions of just that they have the best matches. And I really think, I don't want to say that the best matches like overall, but they can be the best just because of the passion and the intensity that goes
100%.
into it.
100%.
And so I'm just really looking forward to that energy and seeing, what they bring to the table and everything. And I did want to shout you all out too because you were one of the big pay-per-views that showcased, and I believe it was Knuckles Up 3, two female refs for more than
Yep.
just the female matches.
Correct. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
And not to cut you off,
They will both be coming back for Knuckles Up 5 as well.
perfect.
And we'll shout them out. It is Judy from Poland.
Yep.
That's what her Instagram name is, and Paulina. They're both actually from Poland. But I can't remember if Paulina's from Poland or not. I'm not sure, but either way, they're both master referees. They're absolutely incredible. And it was also like, and to be frank, it was just a strategic move as well. We were like, you know, one thing we think that the Europeans do better is their quality of reffing. So by bringing them over, Judy, I mean, is well known and established as one of the greatest referees in the sport of arm wrestling, if not of all time. She's been to every level you could think of, all the worlds, every cup you could think of, every tournament. She's basically refed at it, other than like WAL because it was in the United States and stuff like that. But yeah, she's absolutely incredible. I think I have Chris texting me. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, so yeah, see, This is how you know you have not just the best business partner, but the best friend ever, which is where
Right?
he's got your back and he's texting you when you don't have the answer. So yes, Paulina is also from Poland,
Nice.
and Nadia is 46 years old,
Awesome.
which is super wild
Yes.
for her to be that strong. Like when I tell you she's so strong, like I would consider myself very strong.
Right.
If I cannot like stonewall her, if I just like yeah, just hit into my arm. She's so fast that she'll wicked like just boom into a hook right to the pin pad like, and I would have to like be strapped up and like cranking to make sure she doesn't. She is like crazy strong. Yeah.
Yes. No. Yeah, I love watching her pull. I've watched some of her older stuff, some of her newer stuff, and she is just a consistent powerhouse, which
Yes,
is
yes,
crazy.
consistency, 100%, 100%.
Definitely. And I feel like you see that a lot with Sarah and Gabby and then Angie Rose as well. Where it's just that consistently just dominating the sport, which is awesome. Well, very cool. So, Knuckles Up. So that's Knuckles Up 5 is coming up, and then what's awesome is now we can kind of switch over to the Arnolds, which you guys are doing something really amazing with the Arnolds. You're bringing it back. Not only are you
Yes.
bringing it back, you are also featuring the left hand at the Arnolds, which is awesome, and that is for men and again, super awesome women as
Yeah.
well. Knuckles Up has become something where a lot of people, it's a lot of goals for a lot of people. Me being the self-proclaimed purple queen that I am, I salivate at the idea in 2 to 3 years being on that level to be
Oh
able
yeah.
to be featured, but like so many other athletes. And what's awesome is they have turned the Arnolds into a kind of a farming system to be able to, if you win your class, potentially get featured on a card at Knuckles Up in the future, which I think is just awesome. So, women especially, get to those qualifiers, get to the Arnolds, because Knuckles Up is doing it big and they're doing it right. And if you want to be part of the Purple Tsunami, that is a great way to get a part of it.
Okay. Yeah, we're so excited for the Arnolds, you know. It's something I know I can speak for Chris as well, but for me personally, it is the highlight of every year for me. I've been going to the Arnold Classic. I think this will be my excluding 2020. No, excluding 2021. I think this will be my ninth or 10th year in a row going. I used
Oh,
to just
wow.
go as a fan, and then my fiance works for a company called Animal. They do supplements, and we started going for her company, and then I competed myself, which was in 2022, I think was the last Arnold qualifier that they had, or Arnold
Okay.
competition that they had.
Right.
Uh, no, or was it 23? It was 22 or 23. Anyway,
Sure.
and then we had by the grace of God, we were given the opportunity to bring arm wrestling back, and we're trying to do it at a bigger level than ever before. I know currently at the moment, I believe we have 15 women. Most of them are pulling both left and right arm.
Awesome.
And then we also have some super matches are going to be going on as well. So we do have a lot going on that end. And in terms of overall athletes, I believe we have already over 100, 120 athletes, I think, registered already. So if anybody that's listening that you missed the registration deadline, we did send out emails. We're still happy to take you, but you're kind of falling, you're falling behind here. And then we have our last chance qualifier, which will be the morning of Knuckles Up 5 on January 25th. But yeah, the Arnold's going to be awesome. As you had said, it is a farm system now. So for people like yourself, or both of you, if you want to get on a Knuckles Up pay-per-view, it's a lot simpler than people think. You compete at a qualifier, win your class at the Arnold, and as long as we can get you a match up, we're going to put you on a card. Um, that's really what it's all about. Is we want to show people that it's not just, um, I have to pull for 20 years and then I get to be on one of these pay-per-views or whatever. We really want to create a roadmap for these athletes. But yeah, we're very, very excited. It's going to be something special. I don't think it's what people are expecting.
Hmm.
We're going to have a massive booth at the Arnold. The one of the main differences is when we were talking with the organizer of the entire Arnold Classic. Basically, there's Arnold, and then there's a gentleman named Brian, and Brian is basically the headmaster of the ship. And he's like, look, I want to bring back the sport. I want to bring back arm wrestling, but I need arm wrestling the entire weekend, 24/7 at the expo. So that's what we're doing. We are going to have a booth. It's a 10 by 30. It is going to be the production level of a pay-per-view. We will have a stage. We're going to have the lights, the rigging, the video walls. All of that craziness is going to be happening, and that's where during Friday, during Friday will be all of our prelims at the booth, and then Saturday and Sunday will be the finals on the main stage like it used to be before.
Awesome.
And but after we get done with the prelims, so Saturday and Sunday after the finals, we're gonna have super matches and round robins and seminars at the booth all day long. So myself, Chris, and many others from our team and from our organization will be there, and it's gonna be wild. I'm very excited. It's going to be probably a weekend full of no sleep and lots of monsters and Red Bulls and all that type of stuff. But we'll make it through it. We'll make it through it.
I love it. I love it. That's gonna be so great. Yeah, and I just think that that is so cool that um your hard work is truly coming to play.
Yeah.
That everything that you guys are really putting out is coming back as it just kind of tenfold, and you guys are putting in all this work and effort to better the sport. I can't commend you guys enough for everything that you're doing.
I mean, I can't say this enough. Like I am, how do I say this without making myself sound like an idiot? I'm the big smiling teddy bear that loves to be in front of people and do the creative things, whatever. But if it wasn't for my business partner Chris and best friend, like this ship would not be running. Like Chris, when we first started doing this stuff, he was always like afraid to like, I don't want to say afraid, but he didn't like being on the camera. He didn't like doing the podcast and that type of stuff. And now he's doing great with that. But when I
Right.
say like none of this would be possible if I didn't have my best friend and business partner Chris. Like I gotta give him the biggest shout out. He is so incredible. Um, yeah, yeah, I can't thank him enough. And the arm wrestling world needs to thank him too because the fact that
Definitely.
he can do what he does with his full-time job and myself, but he's just above and beyond just a great human being. And yeah, he's super incredible. I wouldn't want to be doing this with anybody else. But yeah, if you guys are in Columbus, Ohio, such a specific place, make sure you go to the Arnold Classic because it's
Yes.
gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. We're also hoping if all things go really, really well, we're going to be dropping a new arm sleeve that we have, which is super dope. It's based off of one that myself and some of our competitors have used before at the Arnold. We'll have those for sale. We'll have some merch for sale as well. And I'm not gonna keep my fingers crossed, but a very specific arm wrestling company, if all goes well, will be showing off some of their brand new equipment. We'll just
Oh,
we'll just say it's one that you've heard of and that everyone knows and is the best arm wrestling company in the world in terms of equipment. So
wow.
you
Okay.
should you probably all know what it
Yeah.
starts with an M and ends with an O, but we'll just wait for that to Right. We're working on a couple last details and
Don't know
stuff,
who
but
that is.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. There's
Yeah,
some company.
some company out
No,
there.
we're we're really excited. Yeah, we have a lot of things in store for 2025. We're obviously going to be hosting more Arnold Classic qualifiers. We even, and this is a first, no one knows this, but this
Oh,
was the appropriate place to speak it.
oh,
If all things go well, we want to have a women's only tournament sponsored by the High Five and Knuckles Up.
Ha
It's something we want to do late 2025 because it's also something that I think we would need a lot of marketing power to get more and more women involved. Where
definitely.
we do it is very important too. That is a goal of ours though for 2025 is to have
Oh,
an all ladies arm wrestling tournament, and we better have at least 50 entries. That would
Oh,
be
that'd
the
be
goal.
awesome.
That would
That'd
be
be
the
So
goal.
awesome.
we need to talk.
Yeah, we should talk. We should talk.
We need to talk because
Yeah,
I we'll talk.
we'll
We'll talk.
talk. We'll talk. Yeah, but
But
I think that's something. I think it's definitely doable.
100%.
I think, like I said, we do have a very full schedule for 2025, but
Hmm.
closering towards the end of the year, so kind of um, probably November-ish,
Okay.
maybe early December. We'll see.
Okay.
But we've also been talking with, like, one of our huge supporters is Ryan Grondin in the 98%. He does amazing tournaments.
Yes.
We want to bring it up to him, and just to all promoters, just as yourselves, and
Sure.
really try to collaborate on this, because we think we can make it something really special,
Right.
and get way more ladies into the sport.
For sure, for sure. And I think, like I said, we'll talk, but I think there's definitely an avenue and an opening, that I could really see, with you guys especially because of your hard work and your dedication and your openness to really showcase us ladies. It almost becomes like a trust thing too. Like, women, we trust you, and you guys are a great promotion to work with when it comes to ladies. So we're very we're very grateful and honored to have you guys on our side for sure.
Can I flip a
Absolutely.
Question on both of you.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, what do you believe is the number one thing we can do or change? And I know this is a broad question, to bring more ladies into the sport. If there was like something if you really wanted to pinpoint something, what would it be? Take a second. I know that's a loaded big question.
Sure. Um, I think when it comes for me personally, after talking, like, because I've seen both sides. I've been in the sport now, not long at all, so I don't want to say that, because Casto can speak for this as a woman who's been in it for 50,000 years, and then for me as kind of a new person coming in, I started out when I first started, maybe speaking a little too much for women, and then I got kind of kicked back about that, and which was fair. That was a rookie mistake on my part. And so I think the more and more that I've seen it, it's just accessibility for the women. Because yes, there are amazing promotions. There are promoters who are, bending over backwards, who are, doing the weight classes, who are doing the money, who are doing the travel, but then it's still not accessible, because, they need childcare, they need hotels, they need travel, and so there's just, so I really feel on both parts. There are women who are out there that just want to pull every weekend that they can, but their kid gets sick and then they can't go, or their husband is on a travel and they have to stay home, or something like that. So I feel like just accessibility, being able to plan something out to say, hey, this is going to be here. This is the competition that's going to be there. Um, this is where an opportunity for you to really be showcased. How can we get you here? And sometimes it works out and then sometimes unfortunately it doesn't. I think too that there is a side of the women's sport that, for me it's easy for me to drop and go. I don't have those things at home that are really keeping me tied down, like some women. So, and then there are other women too where we can just, it's not hard for us to go for a weekend, but some women it's just not possible. So just being mindful of, like, yes, if you host a all woman something, making it a time where it's not going to be during all the school programs, making it a time when it's not during, next week I have 40 people at my house for Christmas. You gotta make it
That's a
accessible.
good point. I
And
never thought
so
Put
of
it
it.
that
that,
way. Yeah.
yeah, so that would be my opinion. Hope nobody gets mad at me. Please don't cancel me. Casto?
I've been 30 years as a promoter, and it's just really hard to gauge at. I could always say weight classes. If you work, a lot of people tend to work toward the lower weight classes.
Mm-hmm.
and keeping them chopped down on the lower end. But you got to think about the women that are up on the higher end too.
Mm-hmm.
I hear it a lot with guys. They say, well, why don't you have a 154? Blah, 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 blah. And I said, quit crying. I said, how do you think the women feel?
Yeah.
You know? So, I would say I agree with her 100%. But not only that, the weight class, have multiple weight classes. And also, um, like a promoting thing for each individual that knows that they're going to be there. And that way, maybe that they could get a little bit of incentive or sponsorship toward it or something like that to get them there.
Right.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I'm taking
Away from both these answers, which are definitely doable. Like, so one I think would be, for example, Lucky, you said something about like timing wise. So maybe it's not having the tournament at 10 a.m. when their kids going to soccer or whatever. Maybe we do it at 7 p.m. because they
Sure.
can then, the dads or the babysitters can be taking care of the kids when they go do that. Secondly, love the idea of it being at a place, and I know a place that has this that we can utilize, having a childcare. That's huge.
Yeah.
So that way, that's the second option. But I love the answer also was about the weight classes, right? So yeah, I think that's actually a pretty natural thing to expect that if we were gonna, let's say, have a tournament with hopefully 50 women, right? We should probably break out the weight classes more. I think something that ends up happening, which to me makes no sense. I do see it in the men's as well. It's on the higher end, right? That's why we added the 275-pound class. But it was like everyone gets so worried about their weight class.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand if there's someone, if there's a guy who's 300, shouldn't be pulling a 154-pound guy. I get that.
Right.
But on what level are we're not talking about world level, and there's not $100,000 on the line, right? So I think expanding the women's classes, um, maybe it's just making it even the math simpler, right? Like 150, 175, 200, 225, and then up. Like, and then you know what I mean? Just keep it super simple, keep it super accessible. So that people are like, oh, cool, I'll land in this weight class, whatever. They're all getting their payouts and like, yeah, we need to talk. We need to make this happen.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's definitely doable, but I know a big part for me is something, and this is something that we're always trying to improve on, and just do better at in general is the marketing aspect of it. Um, like there is a level of badassness when you have like a bunch of awesome women who are proud about being strong, and if we promote it appropriately, because I've seen it in the powerlifting world, right?
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine from my gym, her name is Chrissy. Shout out to Chrissy if you ever watch this. She puts on incredible women's only powerlifting meets, and she gets like a ton of women to compete, and it's a full day event of well over 50 competitors competing in a women's only powerlifting meet. And there's no reason why, yes, there's not as many women who arm wrestle as there are who powerlift, but it was the same thing in powerlifting 20 years ago. 20 years
Yeah.
ago, it was a boys' club for powerlifting. Like we literally just look at like 2000s powerlifting. Like there were women, don't get me wrong, but I have ladies signing up to the gym all the time for my strength conditioning center. I'm like, oh, what do you, oh, I'm a power lifter. Oh, I want to do my first powerlifting meet. I'm like, that's awesome. And it's just because the culture has finally accepted it. So I think it's just a matter of time, right? Like, but if we create tournaments like that where we have more reasonable weight classes, side note, we should weigh them in freedom units. Forget these kilos. 154. What is this? Come on. Like we
Right.
just have some even normal numbers here.
Right.
No.
Yep.
But yeah, I love the idea. I think that's awesome. Thanks for answering those questions though. I think yeah, we gotta
Oh, you're
talk. We
welcome.
gotta make this happen. We gotta make this happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Absolutely.
that is awesome. No, yeah, and Chris is in the comments. He asked what would be the ideal spread for women's classes.
Oh, there you
So,
go.
I put my opinion in and definitely whatever works, I think too. But I mean, anytime you can really spread it out, and like I said, just getting women there to be showcased, because I mean, if you have 20 in the class and there's 100-pound spread, it's going to be really hard to convince people to show up. Whereas if you have 5 classes and 5 in each and it's top three,
Yeah.
they're going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
that just tripled my chances of being able to, have some really good competition and not get, absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
So, no,
Yeah. I think it's also like a and we as in the fitness industry as a whole is
Mhm.
finally breaking the mold, but like strength is beautiful, strength is attractive. Like
Right.
like who doesn't want a strong woman? Like like I was like, hey, I don't want to carry the groceries by myself. Like no, but in all seriousness, like when my fiance and I first met, like she was working out, but she wasn't doing any strength training, and now she's absolutely like we just did legs today at the gym, and like she's absolutely fallen in love with training, and like I am that much more like in love with her for it because I'm like this is so cool. She's like taking control of her life. She's made herself stronger. She feels better about herself.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I think that's a huge part of this too, is like just reminding women it's like being strong is not a bad thing. Like,
Right.
like, yes, that doesn't mean you want to go and beat up some guy who like said something to you. Okay, like just be strong, be proud of it. You know what I mean? Like that's
You
awesome.
should you should be able to. Maybe not
Yes,
actually
yes.
do it, but you should be able to.
Remember, with great strength comes great responsibilities.
There you go.
Spider-Man.
Just who I incidentally is my favorite superhero. So I
See,
love
there
that
you
you did
go.
that quote. So right behind Black Panther because he's purple. But anyway.
I love it. I love it.
Very cool. Yes, and just to do a public apology, I was supposed to be wearing my Knuckles Up 4 shirt. Shout out to Chris for sending it to me. Thank you so much. But it is sitting at my house because I'm in the 50th worst state, Ohio, right now, chilling, which is why my internet is acting crazy because this is karma because I give Casto so much crap about her internet all the time. And so I'm in Ohio struggling with my internet without my Knuckles Up 4 shirt. Sorry, but can't wait to get my Knuckles Up 5-1 here in just 2 weeks. If you have not grabbed your pay-per-view yet, make sure you do. Ryan Grondin posted a pay-per-view like little shoot fire discount code that you guys can use for 98% to get that. Will and Kristen gave me one, but that's okay. Maybe if they want to, you can use Lucky Ones and you could use that as a code.
I made that happen. Figure it out.
But also check out some of the pullers have one as well too that they have.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes,
you can pick one of your favorite athletes if you just go to their Instagram. They should be advertising their own code and stuff like that. And yeah, that's something actually we're actually very proud of. We don't know of, and if they have, sorry, but we're pretty sure we're the first to give them this code where they directly earn money from anyone who uses their code. It was just another way that we wanted to, support the athletes and allow them to take home a little bit more money to put on the food on the table and stuff like that.
that's beautiful. I think just to keep it fair, Mac does that as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh,
And so
actually, here we go. So I'm gonna take that back. We also do use PremStream. Shout out to PremStream, they're fantastic. And when they told us that they were able to do that, I didn't realize that
nice.
Mac was also doing that. So shout out
Right.
to Mac, Ian Carnegie, you're awesome. But yes, I think it's so cool, right? Like to be
Yeah,
able
it's
to do
great.
that, it's a that's one of our biggest things that like and I hate that like I feel like all I'm doing is talking about myself and what we do, but
No,
one of our
that's what the
biggest
show is for.
Yes,
one
exactly.
one of our so a little backtrack, and we've posted a lot about this too, but as I had mentioned previously, I am blessed to have been in the presence of very high caliber athletes at very high caliber productions. I've been backstage at the Mr. Olympia, at the Arnold Classic. I've been to the World's Strongest Man competition, and I've seen how the athletes are treated. And it's not just, show up, do what you got to do and get the hell out of here, right? When it comes to certain competitions like World's Strongest Man and the Mr. Olympia, you're treated like a rock star because that's what you are, right? You're at the Super Bowl of your sport. And unfortunately, and I won't name names as to what organizations they were, but we had been told by many, many athletes that the treatment just wasn't what they were expecting.
Right.
And the funny thing about that is when Chris and I, even from our first event, and it's only gotten better till now, the athletes were like, "Oh my God, like I've never, you guys gave me a custom this, and you picked me up from the airport yourself, and you took care of my flight and everything, and you had a packet waiting for me, and we had dinner, and you had snacks in the car just in case I was jet lagged, and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, I look at Chris, and I'm like, but isn't this just how we treat anybody? Like, like it's wild to think that some athletes have gone to, other promotions or organizations and tournaments and stuff. And, they're some of the best athletes in the world and they're just treated like Joe Schmo. And it's like, I
Right.
thought that's what, like, we were doing this, anybody who wants to compete at a very high level, right? Like, yeah, I would love to one day be invited to, if I ever get good enough, um, to, another massive arm wrestling pay-per-view,
Right.
and to be like, picked up and treated like a rock star. Because like, who doesn't want to have special treatment? Like, cool,
Right.
that's awesome. Like, yes, I want to be the best arm wrestler in the world, but I also want to like feel like I'm like a superstar, right?
Definitely.
Um, but yeah, that's always been one of our missions is to just really create a special experience for these athletes. And thankfully, because of that, I don't think we've had, and Chris, if you're in the comments, answer. I don't think we have had a single athlete when asked to come back say no, other than if like, oh, I already have a match booked that weekend. Like every single person has always wanted to come back and be a part of what we do, which is like a super like it's the best compliment we could ever get, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, definitely. And I think and I will just 100% piggyback on that and like co-sign everything that they're saying because as somebody who does the podcast, who does a show where I just kind of get to talk to a lot of different athletes, a lot of the times when we're talking, when Nadia, Merlene, Danielle, so many of them I've gotten a chance to just talk to about Knuckles Up. And everybody has said, oh, these guys are phenomenal and they do like a fantastic job just taking care of everything. And so, so I will 100%, he's not blowing smoke, y'all. He's 100% on point. I have the DMs to prove it. And in the previous episodes to prove it as well, where people just brag on these guys. So keep up the fantastic work, and thank you for treating us arm wrestlers with just so much love and respect with it. That is really great that you're doing
Oh,
that.
of course. It's like I said, it's our pleasure. And we honestly like I get so much fun. Like my favorite, and I think this probably is one of Chris's favorite parts too of any Knuckles Up weekend is, most of our athletes arrive Thursday morning, early afternoonish. And then Thursday night is our like family dinner, right? All the athletes come together, under one roof. We have a meal together. We talk, we chit chat, we get excited, and that's when we give them their athlete care packages. And it's kind of like it's our gift from us to them, where it's not just their jersey, but it's gifts from our sponsors, gifts from us personally. We have a handwritten letter in there, just thanking them for coming and stuff like that. And that is hands down. The pay-per-view is obviously incredible. But just to say a selfish thing for me is like having those moments and seeing their faces like light up because it's the first time they've ever had like a real jersey. Like it's not just a t-shirt with their name printed on the back. Like it's a legitimate, from a jersey made company, right?
Right.
Jerseys made and they're touching it. They're like, this is so cool. And then the jacket that comes with it and the bag and all that. You know what I mean? And it's just
Yes.
like looking at their faces and they're so like, they're like, oh my God, And then I get to talk to all of them and like find out where they're from and, their histories and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like, it's
Yeah.
hands down my favorite part of the weekend because it's like that
Yeah.
happens. And then it's like 100 miles an hour nonstop until like until Sunday night when like I have to go to bed and go to work on Monday morning.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it'd
then
be
you're just like,
crazy.
why can't this be my day job?
Oh, I mean that's the goal, right? Like
Yes.
I know I'm not just speaking for myself. If Chris and I could do this full time, oh, there's no question. I mean,
Yeah.
really, like the magic that we've been able to put together, I still don't know how. Even Chris and I, like, we were on the phone yesterday, like, how are we gonna do this? Like, how are we gonna pull this one off? And we're like, I don't know. Like, we'll figure it out somehow, right? Like we'll like, I'll figure out maybe I won't buy groceries this week and we'll put it together or whatever we gotta do, right? People, because the funny thing is people think that like we're these like wealthy, like well-off guys that are just like playing dollhouse with an arm wrestling pay-per-view. It's like, no, like we're putting our blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. And like every morning, this is a funny one. This is something nobody knows about. Um, the first thing I do when I wake up, like I wake up, kiss my fiance good morning, I roll over, I grab my phone, and I text Chris, morning, sir, with an exclamation mark, and our conversations start. Boom, like 9 a.m. every
Right.
day until like 1 in the morning at night when we're going to bed, and then the next day it starts every single day again. But we would love to be able to do this like full time. And hey, if you're a sponsor and you want to
Right.
take on Knuckles Up, hit us up.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think you're well on your way. I don't see it not happening for you, for sure.
We're gonna keep rolling forward till the wheels come off. That's the goal. Is we're just gonna keep pushing and pushing. And yeah, obviously this is our biggest card yet, right? We have 26 athletes, which is just nuts. I mean, on our first pay-per-view, we had what, 10 athletes, 11, 10 or 12 athletes, I think it was
Yeah,
on our first card. And now to
Chris
be at,
will tell us in a second.
oh yeah, Chris will answer in the chat. I think it was 12, but I might be wrong. It might have been 10. Um, but to now have 26 athletes, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, we have some really cool, fun things in store for the openings of the show, some homages to where all of our athletes are from, and a little homage to where we have come as an organization as well. So you'll have to tune in to the pay-per-view to see that because that's not going to go up on YouTube. You just got to be watching or there live to experience that. So we're very excited for that. And yeah, we have some cool things up our sleeve. We're our real when we can finally take maybe a 1 week breath would be like after the Arnold, maybe then we can like breathe for a week and then start playing the next.
There you go. There you go.
Don't
But
say
yeah.
that because something always happens.
Oh, I
Right.
know. It never like Chris and I, so I know Chris hasn't I don't think Chris or I have been, well, I haven't been on a legitimate vacation since 2020, but we haven't been doing this since 2020. But I know neither of us have been on like a legit, like do nothing vacation in years, right? Like we just want to,
Right.
like, I want to unplug everything, like no phone, no internet, like in the woods or on a beach, like just leave me alone type of thing for a week. I could use that right now, actually. That would be great, but.
There you
Uh,
go.
come to West Virginia and go camping. Can't use your cell phone? Don't have any internet.
Chris, we're
Yeah,
going
come to Ohio. The internet is terrible.
to, but yeah, that's definitely we need that. But yeah, thank you guys though so much just for having me on, of course. And yeah, we're so excited. It's gonna be 2025 is gonna be wild. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be
2025, year of the high five.
I just saw too. Thank you for reminding me. This is wild. On January 25th, all of the planets in the solar system are going
Hmm?
to align.
I saw that.
Come on, let's go.
Well,
I'm like, if there's any time for all the stars to align, it's literally that day.
right. So, tell us your. I'm gonna ask you a very on the spot because I know like January 25th. You have 13 incredible matches, and I want to the three ladies matches absolutely insane. Good luck to those six ladies. Those athletes are absolutely just top tier. They will not be boring matches. Everybody
Oh
tune
yeah.
in for that pay-per-view 100%. But you also have, and we don't usually like to talk about men, no offense, but we will today. Um, you have Ron Bath on the card, the Georgia Boys, the Georgia Boy trios of Paul Passmore, Ron Bath, and Cody Wood. Like Georgia just yes,
Yep.
great job. And then your Jason Merlot's coming back. Tom Holland's gonna be there. Victor and Ryan Espy's left-handed match. I have not been more excited about a left-handed match more than I was. Like the last match I was this excited was Angie and Petra. So that says a lot to Ryan and Victor. Good luck to you both. But which one are you just like, I cannot wait for this to go down at
I'm
my event?
not supposed to have a favorite,
Wise, have a
But
favorite.
I don't give a shit. Ryan Bowen, Tom Holland, they are gonna light that stage up. I mean, look, the reason why I say that is in Knuckles Up 2, Ryan Bowen pulled against can't believe I'm blanking, and Chris is gonna yell at me because I'll probably put it in the comments right now. Oh, he pulled against Baek Sung
Bex,
Yul.
yeah.
Yeah, he pulled him in an incredible war.
Yeah.
Then Tom Holland pulled against Baek Sung Yul and Knuckles Up 3, I believe it was, in another war. Jason Merlo, Tom Holland had a was it Jason Merlo and Tom Holland? I think it was. Yeah, I think they had a match. Anyway, point of the story is every time Bowen and Holland get on a table at our card, it ends up being one of the matches of the night. So now that we're putting the two of them together, I am just like, let's go. Like I'm so excited. Um like I said, I'm not supposed to pick a favorite, but that's probably like when we were talking about matchups and we're a big believer, like we've said before, styles make matches. You know,
Yes.
obviously Bowen, great outside arm wrestler, also has that good sticking kings move. Tom, killer inside hooker. But we've seen Tom now, even when he was pulling against Baek Sung Yul, he whipped out a top roll out of nowhere. So I think stylistically, it's good. I do believe intensity wise, it is a perfect matchup
Yes.
because Ryan in his last match where he pulled Andre Shark, I think was I don't want to say he wasn't prepared. I just don't think mentally he was where he needed to
Hmm.
be.
He wasn't in the
Uh,
headspace at all in that. It didn't seem
yeah,
like.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He was like, I think the strength was there to get something that he needed, but he just wasn't in the right headspace.
Right.
Coming off of that loss, returning to Knuckles Up for the fifth card, our biggest one yet. It's our crowning achievement moment. And Holland also coming off of it's a multiple losing streak at Knuckles Up, and I know he wants to change that. So yeah, man, that one's gonna be one exciting thing we're gonna be having is that I'll actually be the one doing the announcing at this event. My co-announcer and superstar, I should say, returning Lawrence Shaw, World's Strongest Man competitor. We're gonna be flipping out when it comes to that match. You're gonna be
For
like,
sure.
Will, would you just shut up? Like, yeah, it's gonna be wild. That's my favorite. All right, so I'll ask you guys, other than the ladies matches, if you had to pick one that you would say is the one you're most excited for.
uh,
I want to see the Ryan Espy because I used to love watching him pull left-handed. So I'm excited to see him come back and get that back in there, get going again.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that one. I'm ready for them all, but I'm excited to see that match and the Ryan Bowen match.
yeah. Yeah, same with me. One, left hands hashtag always matter. I am partial to left hand matches myself. Ryan coming off a win off of in Canada, and then Victor just being the incredible puller that he is, and coming off of some tournament wins with his left. I just think that that's going to be something where, like, I know who I want to win, but at the same time, like, if either of them win, it's going to be
Yeah.
just, I'm going to be so just, it's going to be really cool. So I would, and then, you know, my boy Ronnie Bath. Like,
Yeah.
I give it as much as I troll him on the internet. He knows that I love him, and I am excited to see him in Mario. So
Yeah, that's going to be a
Good one. That's going to be really interesting because Mario is young, hungry, mean, and Ron is just like, "Come over here, youngin.
the
I'm gonna whoop
legend.
your ass." So yeah, that one's gonna be good. But speaking of, just before I forget, Vitor, like I am frustrated that he hasn't been on a massive pay-per-view yet because he's won the qualifiers for another pay-per-view, which I will not mention, and
Right.
he was never called up to the batter's box. I don't know why. He's absolutely incredible. I mean, on the left hand, he is a force to be reckoned with. And I think he just hasn't been given the limelight yet. Obviously it's tough when your wife is literally the greatest female arm wrestler of all time.
Right.
Um, but he's no joke. Like he's
Yeah.
serious. He's strong. If you've ever seen him in person, he's a tall, big dude, big hand, big arm, and really wicked, wicked strong. Wild top roller, super strong hand. It's gonna be an interesting fight for the two of them. I think we may even see Ryan lose his hand and end up like pressing with a flop or something. Who knows? We'll see. We'll
Ooh,
see.
that'd
We'll
be
see.
interesting. So, and then I would have to say that my lightweight most excited match is Cody and Mateus. Like,
Oh
Cody
yeah.
and Hellboy. Like, Cody has proven himself, North America, US 154, right and left hand, number one right now. So, like, let's see what happens when we bring the boys from overseas.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy. Matthias Schlitt is one of those athletes that because he does have his deformity, people sometimes see him as like a sideshow, right? Like, he's a good arm. He is an incredible arm wrestler. Like
Absolutely.
we had the grace of him coming to our practice. I want to say 6-ish months ago now. He was stateside. Uh, First of all, his hand super uncomfortable to hold because it's larger than my hand on a body that's like 154 pounds,
Right.
and all the way up to like a little above his forearm. It's pretty wild. Um, but he is really technical, like really, really technical on the table. He knows his stuff. So, um, I know, at least I don't believe Cody has a nickname yet, but I am deeming him the Prodigy because he is coming like a bat out of hell, and he's kicking ass and taking names. So really think he truly is a prodigy. But the prodigy is gonna meet the Hellboy, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen because, yeah,
Right.
it's gonna be good. We
We
might have to.
we jokingly call him Thor. So it's
Oh,
kind of funny that you have like the God of Thunder versus Hellboy. So I don't know how
Uh-huh.
it's
ah,
gonna take
yeah,
this one.
yeah. No, yeah, it's exciting. It's really cool, and I think when the Hellboy comes out, we're just gonna have to turn the whole place red and just like get some. Maybe I'll
Oh,
get
that
some.
would be
Yes.
awesome.
I'll see if Joe can get some pyro going, and we'll get some flames instead of the sparklers.
There you
The
go.
theater might not like that, but maybe.
Maybe. Right. No, definitely. Well,
No, it's gonna be
awesome.
exciting.
Hey, well, thank you so much for coming. It's getting kind of late, and I don't want to. I could honestly like as I said before, like one of your podcast is one that I tune into regularly. I absolutely love. I would listen to you for the next. You might beat Nadia. I might make you stay and give you a 4 hour podcast, but I don't want to do that to you. I'm sure your fiance is ready to go. But we're just so honored that you came on the show tonight. Thank you just for your time. Thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for supporting female arm wrestlers. Y'all make sure you're checking out Arnold's qualifiers in 2025 to come out to Arnold's in 2026. Ladies, if you are in the New Jersey area, or you can come out in 2 weeks for that last chance qualifier, make sure that you are heading out there. $20 right and left arm per entry for women, which is absolutely phenomenal. I'll be pulling both arms there. And I would love to have some crazy competition there. Come beat me, please. And then if you have not, make sure you tune in and buy Knuckles Up 5. They have the links. Go to an athlete that's from your area or an athlete that you love supporting. Use their code. Put an extra. If you're gonna buy it anyway, you might as well help them out too. That's how we keep this sport
Absolutely, yes.
growing.
Yep.
That's how. And so don't give me a code, because I want the athletes to get everything that they're gonna get. And so yeah, so make sure you are supporting the athletes. Oh, Goku is Candy, what Candy said Cody Wood is called. So I
Oh,
guess that's his
okay.
official nickname. So
Good to know.
good to
Good to
know.
know.
Thank you, Candy. Awesome. So any final words for us, Mr. Will?
Well, just thank you guys so much. It's been an absolute honor. I really appreciate just honestly when I can get on a great platform and just be able to spread the word of what we're doing and how we're trying to improve the sport for a better for the better. It's always a privilege. So thank you guys so much. It was absolutely incredible. And hey, Knuckles Up to 5, January 25th. Get your pay-per-views. Be there in person. It's something to experience. That's something I would definitely say. A lot of people that have been there before were like, I didn't realize how much went into it and how cool it is to be live at the event. Don't get me wrong, I love watching pay-per-views from home. I watch East versus West, King of the Table, all of them. But when you're there in person, the lights, the cameras, the sparklers, the smoke machines, the athlete intros, the walkouts, the music thumping in your chest, like it's something to experience. So thank you both so much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And if you or anyone watching ever is interested in learning more about arm wrestling, please hit us up on our Instagram, the High Five Arm Wrestling. Shoot us a DM, and we'll definitely get back to you.
Awesome. So if you want to stay on for a minute, I'm going to go ahead and end the live. And y'all be safe, pull smart, and catch us next week here at the Lucky Ones podcast.
Later, guys.
Peace.